and begift in the snow. The snow fell softly on Christmas Eve, covering the city in a blanket of white silence. At the old bus shelter on Maple Street, a young woman named Sarah sat hunched against the cold metal bench, trying to make herself small against the winter wind. Sarah was 23 years old, though tonight she felt much older. Her golden hair hung loose around her shoulders, dusted with snowflakes that melted slowly against her skin. She wore a thin dress that had once been beautiful, cream-colored with delicate lace, but it offered little protection from the December cold. Her bare feet were red and aching against the frozen pavement. 3 months ago, Sarah had a home. She had a job at the bakery on Fifth Avenue and a small apartment above the laundromat. But then she got sick, too sick to work, and the bills piled up like the snow that now fell around her. One thing led to another, and suddenly she found herself with nowhere to go. She pulled her backpack closer, the only possession she had left. Inside were a few clothes, a worn photograph of her mother, and a paperback book she'd read so many times the pages were falling out. Sarah tried not to think about what came next. She tried not to think about anything at all. The bus shelter offered some protection from the wind, but not much. Through the transparent walls, Sarah could see the warm lights of homes across the street. Families were gathering for dinner. Children were playing with new toys, too excited to wait until morning. The world seemed full of warmth and belonging, and Sarah was outside of it all, looking in. That's when she heard the small voice. "Excuse me, miss?" Sarah looked up. Standing before her was a little girl, no more than 5 years old. She wore a red velvet dress and a grey knitted hat with a pom-pom on top. Her brown hair fell in careful curls around her rosy cheeks. In her mittened hands, she held out a brown paper bag. "Are you hungry?" the little girl asked. Her voice was gentle and serious, the way children sound when they're trying very hard to be grown up. Sarah's throat tightened. She hadn't eaten since yesterday morning. Yes, she admitted quietly. The little girl stepped closer and carefully placed the bag in Sarah's hands. Inside was a sandwich, still warm, wrapped in wax paper. There was also an apple and a chocolate chip cookie. "My name is Emma," the little girl said. "What's your name?" "Sarah." The word came out as barely a whisper. Emma tilted her head, studying Sarah with the frank, honest gaze that only children possess. "Are you waiting for the bus?" "No," Sarah said. "I'm just sitting here. Don't you have a home to go to?" Sarah shook her head slowly, feeling tears prick at the corners of her eyes. Emma was quiet for a moment, thinking hard. Then she said something that changed everything. "You need a home and I need a mommy." Sarah looked up sharply. Behind Emma, she could now see a man standing at a respectful distance. He was tall, wearing a dark winter coat, and his face was shadowed with concern. Not for himself, Sarah realized, but for the little girl. Emma turned and gestured for the man to come closer. "This is my daddy," she explained to Sarah. "His name is Michael." Michael approached slowly, his hands in his pockets. His eyes were kind but tired, the eyes of someone carrying a heavy burden. "Emma, you can't just—" he started, then stopped. He looked at Sarah, really looked at her, and his expression softened. "I'm sorry," he said. "My daughter has a very big heart. I hope she hasn't bothered you." "She brought me food," Sarah said, holding up the bag. "That's not bothering me. That's kindness." Emma tugged on her father's coat. "Daddy, Sarah doesn't have a home. She's sitting in the cold with no shoes. We have to help her." Michael crouched down to his daughter's level. "Sweetheart, I know you want to help, but—" "Mommy would have helped," Emma said firmly. "Mommy always helped people." Something passed over Michael's face, a flash of pain that he tried to hide. Sarah understood immediately. Emma's mother was gone. "Please, Daddy," Emma continued. "It's Christmas Eve. We can't leave her here in the snow." Michael stood up slowly. He looked at the falling snow, at his daughter's pleading face, and then at Sarah. For a long moment no one spoke. The only sound was the soft whisper of snowflakes landing on the frozen ground. Finally Michael said, "We have a guest room. It's not much, just a small room with a bed, but it's warm and clean. You're welcome to stay there tonight. No strings attached." If you want to leave in the morning, that's your choice. Sarah stared at him. You don't even know me. No, Michael agreed. But my daughter is right. It's Christmas Eve, and nobody should be alone in the cold on Christmas Eve. Sarah felt tears spilling down her cheeks now, warm against her frozen skin. Why would you do this? Michael smiled sadly. My wife, Emma's mother, passed away 18 months ago. Cancer. She always said that kindness was the only thing that really mattered in this world. The only thing we leave behind that has any value. He paused. I'm trying to teach Emma that lesson, and maybe tonight she's teaching me. Emma reached out and took Sarah's hand. Her small mitten was warm and soft. Will you come home with us? She asked. Just for tonight? Sarah looked at this little girl with her earnest face and her father with his gentle eyes, and she felt something shift inside her chest. Something that had been frozen was beginning to thaw. Yes, she whispered. Yes, I'll come with you. Michael helped Sarah to her feet. She winced as she stood on her cold, bare feet, and without a word, Michael took off his scarf and wrapped it around her shoulders. Emma held Sarah's hand tightly as they walked together through the falling snow. As they crossed the street toward Michael and Emma's home, Sarah looked back at the empty bus shelter. It seemed impossible that just minutes ago she had been sitting there alone, convinced that the world had forgotten her. Now she was walking through the snow with the little girl who had seen her, really seen her, and decided she mattered. The house was warm and smelled like pine trees and cinnamon. Michael showed Sarah to the guest room and brought her thick socks and a warm robe. Emma insisted on bringing her favorite blanket, a soft blue one with stars on it. That night, as Sarah lay in a real bed for the first time in weeks, she heard Emma's voice from down the hall. Daddy, do you think Sarah will stay for Christmas? I don't know, sweetheart. We'll see. I hope she does. I like her. Sarah closed her eyes and let the tears fall freely now, but they were different tears than before. These were tears of gratitude, of relief, of hope. Outside, the snow continued to fall, covering the city in white. But inside, Sarah was warm. Inside, she had been found. Tomorrow would bring its own challenges and questions. But tonight, on Christmas Eve, a homeless woman and a motherless child had found each other in the snow. And sometimes that's exactly how miracles happen. The gift Emma had given Sarah wasn't just food or shelter. It was something far more precious. It was the reminder that she was still visible, still human, still worthy of love. And that was the greatest gift of all.